His Excellency Frank Walter Steinmeier, Federal President of the Federal Republic of Germany, esteemed members of the German delegation, my colleagues in the Philippine government, distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor and pleasure to welcome President Steinmeier today in Malacanang Palace, the first visit of a German president to the Philippines in over 60 years. The president's visit is a clear indication of Germany's commitment to sustain the momentum of high-level exchanges between our two countries, following my productive visit to Berlin to meet with then-Chancellor Olaf Scholz in March of 2024, the same year that the Philippines and Germany celebrated 70 years of diplomatic relations. During our bilateral meeting this morning, the President and I discussed our various areas of cooperation, including peace and development, defense, maritime cooperation, economic cooperation, climate change, renewable energy, labor. Our relations with Germany are important not just because our portfolio of cooperation spans a wide array of sectors, but because of these partnerships and the projects have proven to be successful and beneficial to our national development efforts. I thank President Steinmeier for Germany's support for development cooperation programs and projects in the country, including on peace and development efforts in Mindanao. On economic cooperation, Germany remains a strong partner of the Philippines in terms of trade and investment, being the Philippines' biggest trading and investment partner in the EU, with a total bilateral trade at about $5.5 billion and net foreign direct investment amounting to $10.26 million in 2025. There are notable German companies present in our countries, including Siemens, Lufthansa Technik, Deutsche Bank, Bayer, and Bosch, amongst many others. On defense cooperation, Germany is an important defense partner of the Philippines and has been participating as an observer in the Balikatan exercises for 3 years now, since 2024. Germany is also an important partner and like-minded country in the Philippines' efforts to promote the rule of law and the rules-based international order. I thank Germany specifically for consistently and publicly expressing its support for Philippine efforts to uphold the rule of law in South China Sea, including by calling on all parties to abide by the final and binding 2016 arbitral award. On maritime cooperation, we conveyed an appreciation for the partnership in modernizing the maritime and aviation capabilities of the Philippine Coast Guard. This includes the provision by Germany of 2 Airbus H-145 twin-engine helicopters in 2019 and unmanned aerial vehicles in 2024. Germany has also been supporting the swift conclusion of the free trade agreement between the Philippines and the European Union, with the 6th round of negotiations held on 18 to 22 of May 2026 in Manila. On people-to-people ties, the 45,000-strong Filipino community in Germany, many of whom are nurses and nursing associate professionals, is a strong foundation for our continued relations. Beyond their role in the labor market, they are essential partners in Germany's society and economy, bringing world-class expertise, skills, and professional work ethic to the sectors that matter most for Germany, such as the healthcare sector, in finance, engineering, and in IT services. The Philippines also appreciates Germany's cooperation on technical and vocational education and training through research innovation and capacity building. On many cooperative development endeavors, I acknowledge Germany's support for the Philippines through German Society for International Cooperation, or the GIZ. Germany's strength in renewable energy technology and the Philippines' abundance of natural resources and friendly investment environment make the two countries natural partners in this sector. The Philippines, as the chair of ASEAN, expressed appreciation for Germany's continued support for ASEAN's community building efforts. 2026 also marks the 10th anniversary of Germany being a development partner with ASEAN. I also conveyed the Philippines' support for German application to be a sectoral dialogue partner with ASEAN. We also had an exchange of views on regional and international matters of mutual concern, including the security situation in the Indo-Pacific, in Europe, and in the Middle East. The Philippines looks forward to continuing to enhance our partnership with Germany in the years ahead. Thank you, President Steinmeier, and the members of your delegation for this visit. I hope you return to Germany, not only with fond memories of the Philippines, but with renewed vigor to pursue further areas of cooperation in what has already been over 70 years of fruitful partnership between our two countries and friendship between our two peoples. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Verehrter Herr Präsident, ich möchte Ihnen ganz herzlich danken für den freundlichen Empfang, den ich, die ganze deutsche Delegation hier auf den Philippinen erfahre. Ich freue mich tatsächlich, hier zu sein. Und Sie wissen, ich bin zum ersten Mal in Ihrem schönen Land und der erste Vers Ihrer Nationalhymne, der hat mich neugierig gemacht. Ich bin froh, dass ich mir endlich ein eigenes Bild von Ihrem Land mache. Mein Besuch in den Philippinen ist nicht nur persönlich mein erster, sondern auch der erste Besuch eines deutschen Staatsoberhauptes seit mehr als 6 Jahrzehnten. Es war höchste Zeit.
I think it was high time for such a visit of a German federal president. And the more so, as I explained during our bilateral exchange today, as the Philippines are becoming increasingly important for Germany in many areas as a like-minded partner when it comes to safeguarding the global order, providing for peace and stability in Asia, as a vital partner and like-minded partner when it comes to cooperating between ASEAN and Germany and the European Union, when it comes to connecting our economies, when it comes to fighting the impact of climate change, and last but not least, when it comes to bringing together our peoples through the migration of skilled labor. I have had a very extensive exchange on all these topics with President Marcos today and met with general agreement. We agree that we live in greater security and more peacefully and can provide for greater prosperity in a world that is based on common rules, cooperation, and trust. However, that same world has come under pressure these days. And for that reason, too, we have to move closer together in order to identify common answers to the challenges these days. In particular, export-oriented middle powers like the Philippines and Germany rely on functioning cooperation and reliability. We therefore have to stand up together to defend the rules-based global order. Ladies and gentlemen, the situation in the South China Sea, or as the Philippines would call it, the West Philippine Sea, continues to be tense. And that gives us cause to be concerned because the Indo-Pacific, in particular the region of Southeast Asia, is one of the most economically dynamic regions of the world. And if incidents occur in that part of the world, that is also cause for great concern in Europe. Because we in Europe have for decades now too benefited from the international law of the sea, and violations of the international law of the sea endanger the freedom of navigation, as the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz has brought home to us recently in a very drastic manner. The countries in the Indo-Pacific, amongst them the Philippines, are most severely impacted by the rising fuel prices and food prices. We feel the disruption of the supply chains in Germany too. Germany and the Philippines are therefore also cooperating on security political matters such as safeguarding peace and providing for the freedom of navigation. As you yourself just pointed out, Mr. President, We are assisting the Philippine Coast Guard by providing them with drones, and we assure you that we will continue to engage in military exercises in the future. We say that prosperity and security in Europe and in the Indo-Pacific are closely linked, and we, in our regions, know how important respect for the international law is. Mr. President, in a global environment that is undergoing major transformation, countries that share similar interests, as do the Philippines and Germany, have to cooperate ever closer. For that very reason, the ongoing negotiations about an ambitious free trade agreement between the European Union and the Philippines are so important. We hope that that agreement can be concluded speedily and that our economic exchange will continue to intensify, so that we will see more European and in particular more German investments in the Philippines. I was pleased about the fact that the German-Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry has roughly 300 member companies, amongst them companies from the pharmaceutical sector, from the banking, insurance, logistics, and aviation sector. Now, allow me also to mention ASEAN, Mr. President, because 2026 is a very important year for ASEAN and for the role of the Philippines. I congratulated President Marcos on the part that the Philippines play as this year's chair of ASEAN. I wished him every success for his term in office and at the helm of ASEAN, and assured him of the full support of Germany for important projects, amongst them the successful negotiations about a code of conduct for the South China Sea and a solution for the continuing bloody civil war in Myanmar. Mr. President, you mentioned skilled workers and migration. Our cooperation is not only marked by international and regional developments, our peoples too continue to grow together. The great and continuously growing number of Philippine skilled workers in Germany plays an important part in that regard. We welcome them with open arms and are very grateful for the important job they are doing thousands of kilometers away from their home country. And we see great potential in expanding that cooperation also beyond the health sector, also to include the technical professions, I'd say. Today we talked about how we can further improve migration of skilled workers, whilst bearing in mind the demand for training and education with the help of Germany here in the Philippines. Migration of skilled workers can only function if it is beneficial to both sides. We will continue to engage on this subject matter, wanting to ensure that that exactly is the case. Mr. President, once again, thank you very much on behalf of the delegation. Thank you for having us here, and thank you for the cordial reception and your hospitality.
Thank you, President Marcos and President Steinmeier. We will now proceed with a joint press conference.
Good afternoon, members of the press corps, and welcome to the joint press conference on the occasion of the state visit of the President of the Federal Republic of Germany to the Republic of the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, we will now open the floor for your questions. The first question will be from Martina Herzog.
Thank you. President Marcos, on skilled labor migration, this is an important topic for Germany. You also spoke about this. Do you also have concerns about brain drain? Because there are disadvantages. Sorry, I'm here. Und Herr Steinmeier, auch noch zum Thema Fachkräfteeinwanderung. Was sagen Sie denn den Leuten? Warum sollen sie nach Deutschland kommen? Warum ist das eine gute Idee?
Say to these people, why should they come to Germany? Why should that be a good thing for them to do?
Is that directed to me?
Should I repeat the
first
question?
question, yes.
Sorry, the first one was.
Well, I think the first point that I would make is to point to the experience of already our nationals who are in Germany and who have made a good life for themselves. They have identified opportunities in Germany. They have taken the big step of actually moving there. And all the feedback that we get is that it is a good place to live and work. They certainly have assimilated very easily into everyday society, and that's always a very important part of it. And so, despite the fact that they of course try to visit back home as much as possible, they are very comfortable in every way while they're staying in Germany. And there are, since we have Filipinos everywhere, we know of some of the difficulties that other people, our nationals, suffer in other places, and that's certainly not the case with Germany. So the opportunities are there, and it is a stable and orderly society, and that makes for a good place not only to work and live, but even to raise a family, as many of them have. And that, I think, will be the best point to make, to show the experience of our nationals as to why the experience, the German working experience in Germany is a good one.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Ja, ich habe Herrn Präsidenten genau auf diese Frage angesprochen.
Ja, genau darauf I addressed that issue in my exchange with the President, pointing out that we have a long tradition with Philippine skilled labor, and that the Philippines too have a long tradition with migration, labor migration. And I asked him whether Germany should have to speak out more openly, make its case for attracting skilled labor from the Philippines. And he said that the 40 or 45,000 Filipinos who already live and work in Germany are doing that on behalf of Germany. They're making the case for picking up a job in Germany, because they say that the working conditions there are better than in many other parts of the world, that their security is provided for, that they feel safe personally. So we don't really have to engage in greater advertising for Germany as such a location. During our recent visits over the last few years, we have focused on educating people about the mechanisms that are there, what Germany is doing, in order to facilitate and speed up the decision-making process.
The next question will be from Tristan Odalo from Newswatch.
Good afternoon, Your Excellencies. I want to start with the United States and Iran have announced and signed a ceasefire agreement to end the war and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, a development many are calling a diplomatic breakthrough. First, I want to ask your reaction on this agreement, and do you believe that it offers any lessons for managing tensions and preventing escalations, for example, in other strategic flashpoints like in the South China Sea and the war in Ukraine? To both President Marcos and President Steinmeier.
Jeder Schritt in die Richtung
Every
zur
step
Beendigung der Kampfhandlungen
in the direction of ending the fighting is a right step.
hoffen deshalb beide,
We both therefore hope that we will see an actual agreement, not only a signing of a document, but that we will see an ending of the fighting and an end to the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. It is urgently necessary for the Strait of Hormuz to be opened. We talked about this earlier. This is not about abstract figures, or not only about abstract economic figures with regard to the Strait of Hormuz. It is the lives of hundreds of thousands of people that are affected. The food prices, the prices of fertilizers, reduced harvests in the coming years as a consequence of that. Therefore, both of us hope that this is a step towards ending the fighting and towards the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, hopefully also to the opening of peaceful talks with the objective of bringing about peace in the region.
Yes, well, first of all, I would like to agree with the observation of President Steinmeier. Any step towards peace is a good step. And that is hopefully what we are observing here. We heard the news a couple of days past that there has been an agreement that has been arrived at least on the basis of that agreement, that the Strait of Hormuz, the fighting immediately will stop, the blockade of the United States will be withdrawn, and the Strait of Hormuz will be open, and the freedom of navigation will once more return to the Strait of Hormuz. That is what we have been hoping for since the day after the war started. As you and I, the President has outlined some of the effects that Germany is feeling and the effects of that war. And although we are affected differently, Germany and the Philippines, we are both feeling that there is very much a crisis. And the effects on Germany and the Philippines are reflected in every country around the world. And this kind of instability makes life difficult for our own people, and therefore we await with bated breath the actual finalization of that agreement. It is some of the best news that we could hope for, if indeed it comes to fruition. That is what we are looking forward to, but we still will feel, because of the enormity of the problem of the instability that this war has caused, it's inevitable that it will take some time for us to adjust back to what will be the new normal. So we, of course, are always cautiously optimistic. We have unfortunately heard these proclamations before, and they have not come true. But we're hoping that this one is the one that will come true, and that we will start to once again bring our economies to a normal state and be able to support our people properly, and without suffering the vagaries of price rises that come with such a petroleum crisis. So we hope, we pray that this is the case, that it is over, the war is over, and it will be a lasting peace.
Thank you, Your Excellencies. The third question will be from Jan Hinnerk Gavert.
Thank you. My question goes to the President Marcos. You just spoke about investments and trade in the Philippines. For enterprises, it is important that they have security and no corruption. And my question is, how serious is the fight against corruption in the Philippines?
How serious is?
The fight against corruption in the Philippines.
Oh, as serious as it can get. Every government, not every government, every entity, every business entity, every government feels the corrosive influence of corruption, as this completely changes the way government can work. And it limits governments to such an extent that many of the things that are never mind that are wished for, but that are necessary for as services to the people, are not. Government is unable to deliver, and that's how important that is. That's how important the effects of corruption are, and that's why in this anti-corruption drive that we have, that I have started, there was no way to do it easily or painlessly. We had to turn everything on its head and to make very, very clear that these abusive practices that we had to suffer from before will no longer be allowed. And to find that how did this system get so destroyed? How did we get to this point? We have to discover that so we don't go and do it again and make the same mistakes. And so that's we have to find those who are found to be part of this system of corruption, that they will be punished and that they will provide restitution to the Filipino people, because what they have taken is not my money or your money or a company's money. It's the money from the people. And that is the worst sin of all, as far as I'm concerned. It's the worst form of corruption, as far as I'm concerned. And so, yes, there could not be a more serious subject in the discussions in my government right now.
Thank you, Mr. President. The last question will be from Jojo Montemayor of DZMM.
Good afternoon, Excellencies. Correction, it's from Malaya Business Insights. Anyways, my question is about a possible visiting forces agreement between the Philippines and Germany. Was it taken up during your meeting earlier, and how important is it for both countries? Is there any target date to realize this arrangement?
Is there what? Hindi ko naintindihan.
Visiting forces agreement, sir.
If they?
A possible visiting forces arrangement po, between Philippines and Germany. BFA, sir.
I think that the Germany's yes, they seem to have made arrangement that was done upon the request of the President and the First Lady of Germany, and was arranged for by the First Lady, because she is of that.
Sir, visiting forces agreement, sir, BFA,
Oh, I'm
sir.
sorry. I thought I heard something else entirely. My hearing is not what it used to be. What about the
Sir, a possible visiting forces agreement-like arrangement between the Philippines and Germany.
Oh, okay. Now I understand what you're saying. I'm sorry. Well, why not? We are long. We probably in reality we are still a long way off of that. But we are actually increasing our engagements especially in the military and in the defense and the security areas, and perhaps when the time comes, certainly that would be something that the Philippines would be very, very open to. I cannot see any disadvantage to that. With the volatility that is happening in the geopolitical world right now, the best path to stability is to have partnerships, is to have a wide base of alliances, because not any one country can now influence or change or direct the way the world is working. And so we have to achieve two almost contrary aspirations. One is to be stable and strong, and two, to be agile at the same time. It's not an easy trick, but it's something that we have to achieve. But multilateralism is a very, very important part of that. The world is so deeply interconnected, as we have always seen. When COVID, I think, was the first illustration of that in a very real sense. How quickly the world will react or will begin to stutter and sputter when there is a problem such as that. So yes, if the VFA if we came to an agreement and we feel that it is time to have it, the Philippines would certainly entertain that possibility very warmly.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this concludes today's press conference. Thank you, Your Excellencies, and good afternoon.